Hello, I am John Peterson, the amateur conversationalist. Today, I am 21,420 days old. Welcome to Counting the Days. Now, there should have been a bunch of regalia right now in a beautiful little video that Geo Sam had made to announce the program, Counting the Days, with a nice little logo I'd come up with that Geo Sam nailed it big time. And I couldn't pull that off because, I don't know, blame it on Boomer Brain, whatever you want to do. But this is the first episode of Counting the Days, and I want to turn it over to one of my co-hosts here, and who I stole this idea from. The idea for the show is actually Mike's, Speed of Sound's idea. He just didn't know he had the idea. And I'm going to throw it over to him, and he's going to tell the story of how he started counting the days. Let's get him up here. Hey, and there's everybody. And then we're going to put Speed on a solo layout, if I can figure out how to do that, idiot that I am. But yeah, I forget what you do. What do? You just click on it. It says remove. It's telling me to remove. Oh, there it is. Solo layout. All right.
My God, I'm too big. I am so big. Okay. Anyway, I tell stories a lot, and they tend to be long and convoluted, but bear with me. But the whole counting the days thing involves a woman named Carol Jean, who I basically, my father and her stepfather were childhood friends. I grew up with her. I played in the sandbox with her. She was 9 months older than me. And so she used to beat me up. And she beat me up until we were 12, and then she kissed me. And then from then on, we sort of like were in and out of this amazing love affair, which resulted in my daughter and us getting married when I was 17 years old. So she was like a really key figure in my life. And we always played around with this idea that she was 9 months older than me, that she had 9 months longer than me to experience the world. And then it was, what the hell? It was March 7th, 2017. I was watching TV. I get a call from my daughter. She's hyperventilating. She says, my mom is dead. My mom is dead, at about 6:38 in the evening. And I raced over there and got there by 6:55 and managed to say goodbye to her. And at that point, it stunned me that this person who I'd shared all my teenage angst with, and walked many, many country roads with, thousands of hours of time spent with her, and been in love with her and married to her, that she was now dead, and that she clicked out. And the next day I calculated how many days she had lived for some reason, because I was thinking about this. Okay, I've lived 9, like, I don't know what it was like to be her on her 24,462nd day. And I want to know what it's like for the next 9 months, right, as I catch up to her. And on December 27th, 2017, I reached parity, but I counted my days every day since that, or every day in between. And then what I noticed is that counting the days every day, when I got up and I got used to just as the first waking moment, I would, click that counter. Sometimes I have to go back to the calculator. Sometimes I fucked up, but most of the time I got it right. But it made my day longer, and it made my day more powerful and more present. And, I've tried all these meditative techniques, but this one really worked for me. And it was absolutely amazing. And I got to feel what it was like to wake up on the same amount of days as she did on the day that she turned out to be the last day of her life. And that was profound to me, I think. And then I went ahead, and now I'm 26,160 days. And my daughter only had 19,036 days, and she passed away. And that was amazing to me, that I've, right now I've lived like over 7,000 some days longer than her, and it's like, And it's important. The other thing that stunned me about counting the days is, Christ, I thought that number was going to be a lot bigger than 24,000, right? I thought, my God, we have all this time, and it's like, it turns out, no, we don't. We do and we don't. It passes real quickly, but when you count the days, I assure you it'll pass slower, and you'll be more present if you really powerfully get into this idea of naming and labeling every day of your life and making it mean something. And maybe at the end of the day saying, what the hell was this day about? What did I do on this day? Because we want to live forever. But the truth of the matter is that we sort of piss away every fucking day that we do live. And we're so busy thinking, worrying about when we're going to die and living forever, that we don't even use the days that we are alive. So why would you want to live forever if you're just going to run through it and not be present in every moment, right? So, I mean, being present in every moment is, I think, the most interesting and powerful way to live your life. But anyway, that is my story about Carol Jean Backer, somebody who I love dearly and lost. So anyway.
Well, and then I guess I'll throw it over Scott now to say his piece, if he'd like to, about counting the days and what his thoughts are, and then I'll have some words to say, and then we're going to review a little video, and then after that, if anybody decides to call in, the call-in number is in the video description. And we'd love to hear from a theist if you're out there. I believe Jill is in the house. I'm just basing that on the name that they're using as a screen name. You owe my mama gas, liberal. I'm just assuming that's but at any rate, I'm going to throw it over to our other host, Mr. Scott Duke.
Well, thank you, John. Oh my gosh. I would say that I'm into counting the days because it just gives you a sense of perspective. Like it does one thing to look at your life, compare it to the people around you, and go, wow, I have really sped by, and right now there's more people in my life that are have fewer days than me. And let you know that you're getting older. It also, I tried this trick. Let's say I'm really lucky and I live to be 100 years old. Not only are there 21,465 days since my birth, or 21,421 days. Okay, it's early. 21,425 days since my birth. If I were lucky enough to live until 100, I have 15,075 days left, because you can go with the statistics. There's an upper limit to the number of days that you're going to be able to count off, and since your birth. And so the question is, what are you doing to fill those days? Does it feel like a strangulating routine? Does it feel like who was that, Sisyphus? Pushing the rock up onto the top of the hill, getting and we can think of that as one challenge to your existence, one challenge to your dignity, one challenge to your health, up that hill, only to have it roll down, and you have to start over again with the next challenge, and it all just seems empty and senseless. Or are you going to be able to fill those days up with things that you feel like matters, that gives you joy, that gives you satisfaction? And what are you doing to make to not be Sisyphus, but to be we could say your authentic self? So that would be my reason for counting to the days, is to how much life am I going to put in the days that I have left? And I could do something even scarier. Well, I can't. I don't know. 72 is not the end point it used to be, but I don't know what the average death for a white male in America is. The lifespan is, but if you put in what's the word, actuarial average, that number gets even lower, and so it means that you really have a lot more life to put into the days that you have left, and that counter just kind of ticks by every day and reminds you. And that is all I have to say at the moment.
All right, let's get everybody back on screen here for a second. All right, and that's I love what Scott said, and I'm gonna pick right up from what he was saying, because he very much crystallized what I think about this. And again,
whoops, looks like we lost John Peterson for the moment.
Hello, I'm back. Yeah. So that was not the solo layout that I clicked on. All right. But so anyway, with what Scott was talking to, I mean, very much, this is what I've put together from what I've talked to Mike about, and then along with this video I saw, and then discovering that image of my mother in that stump. That's very much what I've taken out of it is, and now what I've said in recent days is, I kind of get up in the morning, and that's one of the first things I think about. How many days is it now? What day is this? And then I have like this old feeling of that I remember, from when I was younger, where I wake up with this sense of curiosity and wonder, and what am I going to do today? I'm like excited about it, and I was more in that rut kind of thing, like Scott was talking about. And Speed himself has even, because we talk quite a bit, and he has even told me and reminded me here in recent days, well, you remember that interview with Stephen Colbert? Remember you got a hold of me after you saw that? And he goes, that's where I recognize like a change in you. And I have to give a lot of credit to Mike, because we were talking a lot about different shit even before I discovered that interview. And then, as I said, he allowed me to come on the Weather Report, which is his show. His channel is Answers in Atheism, him and Scott's channel. And they do the Weather Report at least 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And he let me come on the Weather Report, and we looked at the Stephen Colbert interview. And for my money, that was what I took out of that interview, is to live your life every day with gratitude for life. Now, it's funny, Scott and Mike just spoke about, meaning in life, and how to maintain having meaning in life, and all that. And it's funny, here we are, 3 atheists, and we're talking about having meaning in life. And of course, most of the theists would say, well, you can't have meaning in life, atheist, but it is possible to have meaning in life. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a statement right now, and anybody can call me on it if they want. But my claim is, and my belief, that the reality of life is, the only meaning to be found in life resides in the minds of human beings. So far. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it's incumbent upon us, it's important for us to connect with theists as atheists, because the only meaning to be found in life is found in the minds of human beings. And we've been finding common ground with theists our whole lives. I mean, we have to. Like, I wouldn't be where I am in life right now if it wasn't for the theists in my life along the way. Now I'm not saying the same thing that some theist apologists say, that, I owe my life to theism and to God and all that. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we share this planet with our fellow human beings. So in my mind, and I don't know if the other guys would agree with me or not, but that's what I want this show to be about, is let's find some common ground between atheists and theists. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a group of people that's going to, bend over backwards and agree with everything a theist says, by no means. But just because we disagree on that aspect, I don't buy that argument that, well, if you don't believe in God, you can't have any ideas or thoughts or any meaning to life or any of that stuff. It's just not true. So the reason I decided this should be a call-in program is I want theists to call in, and we're not going to have like debates and arguments and all that stuff. We want to find common ground. Sincerely, we want to find common ground. And there's a time for like all that arguing and the debates about morality and this and that. But yeah, I don't want to do that here. We want to talk to people, find some common ground, talk about how we can do what Scott just spoke about, and make each day count. And it's not going to work every day, but like Mike says, you just try. You give it. You try, and some days will be good, some days will be bad. But yeah, I don't want to sound like some hippie frou-frou kind of person, but that's what I want this show to be about. We'll see if we can make something out of it. But that's basically, I guess that kind of says everything. It's just, like I said, I showed that stump to some theists that I know, Christians, and of course, each one of them thought, well, and I'm speaking of the picture that's on the thumbnail. That's the stump, and it kind of looks like my mom. They all say to a person that it's a message from God, but yeah, I can't say that because I'm an atheist. To me, it's just a coincidence that image ended up looking like my mom. It's a coincidence that I discovered it. Basically, I don't have an explanation for why it ended up that way, except to say that what caused that stump to look that was a confluence of natural processes, biological, meteorological, whatever, that made that look like that. And then because that stump is there, and because I am, now that stump has some meaning. And along with the minds of my family and the friends in this area that knew my mother, it has meaning, and like the neighbors that have seen it, I'm pretty sure they all believe in God, and they think it's some kind of message or something. I just think it's a beautiful thing that nature gave me. And so at any rate, we thought we'd start out with something light today as far as a topic. So today's topic is death.
That's hilarious.
Human mortality, I guess, to be more precise, or how it would be described as. But and as Mike told his story, counting the days very much came out of death, and it's something that we all share, theists and atheists alike. Now, we have a disagreement on what happens after that point of death, but as far as dying goes, we all have to deal with that in our own way. And at some point in everyone's life, we find out that it ain't going to go on forever. And then some people take a turn and say, well, wait a minute, it does go on forever if you believe this. But at any rate, I'll throw it over to you guys. Have at.
Yeah. So the thing about death, that it's like, okay, we don't want to stop doing what we do every morning when we wake up, right? And so it's like we have this clinging to, or this sentimentality toward this particular set of memories and body and whatever, right? And it's like everybody's like, oh, everybody. I mean, it's just slam dunk, you should want to live forever, right? But then when you think about it, like if you could at the point of your death transfer yourself into somebody else, right? What would you keep? Would you keep every single memory from your life? Or would you perhaps want to change a few things, or maybe have a complete do-over? So like reincarnation, in Buddhism, it's sort of a misunderstood concept. It's not about waking up in another life form. It's about something totally different, but we'll get to that. But when you think about reincarnating in another person, like if I reincarnated in a newborn baby, well, for one thing, I couldn't possibly have the memories and knowledge that I have now in this new baby, because I'd be a really, really fucking strange baby, right? I'd come out talking about atheism and biology and shit. So what would you pick and choose? And then when you think about it, it's like, well, I think I'd want a surprise, or I'd want, something new to happen. I wouldn't want to live the same damn life over again, because I'd remember it all and it would be kind of boring, and I'd be like, holy shit, I'm going to hit that tree. And, so you don't want to do exactly the same thing. So then when you start to consider one thing at a time about what you would keep, and when you get yourself to the point where you think, I wouldn't keep anything, I want to be totally new, I want to see the wonder of life all over again, completely new, you realize that the moment you die, that is absolutely no different than a child being born somewhere. That is the reincarnation that you have to think about, where you completely lose yourself, lose your attachment to yourself, and you say, I want to be a totally new being. Well, new beings are happening all the time around us, right? And so, I mean, when you get to that point, and you see a baby, you see a newborn kitty or whatever, you're like, holy shit, that's it. That's what I want. I want life to be new at every moment in every organism. Now, do you follow that process of getting rid of yourself to the point where you can say, I can let this self go and be somebody totally different? And that's no different than what's happening right now. That is like life after death. There is life after death. Unless, of course, an asteroid hits the Earth and then we're all fucked. But what do you think of that? Do you follow that process, my friends?
Speaking of death, there goes a black cat.
Yeah. Well, black.
Oh yeah, the idea of each day as or death as a kind of rebirth, or maybe living with death each day as a rebirth, so that you can have look at the world with new eyes. Every day. It's a great way of looking at things. I was doing a search. We have a different attitude, I think, in our culture. It goes way back of about death, is that we want to push it off, not only the actual event of our death, but just thinking about death. What if we got up, all met at the same coffee shop, sit down with our muffins or whatever, donuts and coffee, and we started talking about death in public. People would think we were creepy. People would think that we are morbid. But I'm looking here at a culture that looks at things differently, and that's the Mexican culture, which has Dia de los Muertos. And I'm looking at here, it acknowledges the symbiotic relationship between life and death. And I wonder, it's true. We do things to put off death, like women will, do. Of course, they also want to look hot and sexy, but they'll change their diets so that everything's pure and clean and organic and life affirming, whether or not they're any kind of bias against chemically treated foods and stuff like that are valid or not. But that they want to push off. We want to push off that death. We want to not think about it, But what if we spent our days just kind of welcoming death alongside us, and saying, okay, death, you know, your office is going to have to take me over. Someday I'm going to have to go into your office, into your sphere. But right now, just, you know, come with me while I go to the, you know, the market, you know, the open markets they have on farmers market. That's it, that they have every weekend. And let's just, you know, explore what life and creativity are all about. And that way, when death can become a friend rather than a feared enemy. If we think in terms of the reality that, yes, we're going to die someday, and we can talk about it openly, then maybe the mystique and the dread part of death can be less severe. I don't know if that really relates to what you said. It's just sort of kind of riffed off. And
yeah, I mean, that's fine. And well, and my apologies to you, Scott. I didn't mean to change the screen like that in the middle of you talking.
Oh, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. Something interesting happening while I'm talking is always a good thing.
So, Doubting Thomas posted that he just lost his brother. So this is like fresh with him. This,
wow.
This whole suddenness of, now he's here and now he's not. And those first days after you lose somebody, it really doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. But this Colbert thing is about, that sort of thing, losing people. And
we're going to watch this. This video was very important to me. It's not from Stephen Colbert's channel. It is from a different channel on YouTube, whose channel I will have in the description here at some point in the next few minutes. And I mean, we're just going to watch it. We're going to watch like the first 3 minutes. I'm going to stop it for a few minutes before what I consider to be the most important part comes up. But even though Stephen Colbert, as you'll see, he credits his belief in God to the concepts he's going to talk about, there are ideas in here that are good for anybody, theist and atheist alike. And so we're going to watch this, and hopefully my setup will allow us to hear this good. Let's see here. Gotta. So is that full screen? Okay, there we go. John Peterson, producer extraordinaire. And I don't know why I cannot. It's not.
It's one of the things I have been touched by and sort of healed by the last 2 months is just people having real conversations with me about loss and grief and their pain. And I find it,
you're roboting pretty bad.
All right, I want to ask. Say that again.
You're roboting pretty bad.
What? So the audio, his audio's not coming through?
No. So if you sent me a link, I could probably do it, but I gotta do a little bit of adjustment here.
All right. So, God damn it.
Or if you put it in private chat, I can probably pull it up. Let me get my YouTube set up here. Technical difficulties are going to abound. Let's see here. Okay, got it.
Let's see here.
YouTube.
Where's the goddamn share button?
Damn it. Just copy the video.
At some point, I did send you a link to this. I sent Scott a link.
I know. If you want to, just hit right click and copy URL, and that should do it. If you right click on that, or
okay.
Life is absurd. How to live it, Albert Camus. Okay.
Oh,
Just right click on the video if it's playing. And it pops that little URL thing up. The fucking
sorry, guys.
Hey, Tog is here. And Tobin Templeman
Yes.
Yeah.
said his
Yeah,
last mushroom trip was thinking about death. I have
Mhm.
there's a documentary on Netflix right now about that, how to change your mind.
By the way, Doubting Thomas, I just pulled up The Dash Poem by Linda Ellis. Is that the one you were referring to?
It's great to welcome to the program today Oliver Thorne, who's a professional actor and also the
What the hell is
creator
that?
of Philosophy Tube, a YouTube channel with about 500,000 subscribers teaching
You're
philosophy.
playing a video. Just mute
Fun,
yourself.
interesting.
What the fuck? All right. Sorry, guys.
Okay, Stephen Colbert, and who's interviewing him? Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, I'm
It's one of
just.
the things I
I don't
have
understand why in the
been,
fuck. All right, I got to get
touched
rid
by
of this. There we
and
go.
sort of
All right, see ya.
Okay, I got the interview. I found it myself. I should have done that in the first place. Wait a minute.
Yeah, sorry,
Wait.
guy. Yeah, I mean,
No.
I have that. I have the link to that I think on every device I own, and I couldn't find it because.
No, that's not. I'm not finding it. I'm finding. Oh God, it popped up Ukraine. So Anderson Cooper interview. Let's see if that pops it up. I guess I didn't find it. I found something else. Stephen Colbert and Anderson Cooper's beautiful YouTube thing. That. Let's see here. Stephen Colbert interview. I got her. Okay. Okay. Go ahead and play it.
Is it? Did you find the right one? Yeah. So I need to.
Wait a minute. I
Okay,
have to-
let me put you full screen though here. So it's on your screen. All right. So.
First of all,
And then real quick, if you've got the same one I had, it'll be at. You want to stop it at 2:54.
okay. So we want to start out at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like is it like a 6-minute clip?
No, it's a 21-minute clip.
Yeah, that's not the right one, man.
Yeah.
So here, let me find it. But at any rate,
Hey, John.
what?
Okay, work with me here. Okay.
Right, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send you the link. I'm gonna send you a link right now.
Play the video and then go and right click on the YouTube when you're playing the video
Yeah,
and copy YouTube URL and send it to me.
yeah, I know. All right.
Okay.
I mean, I have the URL already. I just it's not.
You got to put it in private chat and then we'll all have it. It'll be great.
Right. I'm trying to do that, but
Oh my goodness. Okay, I have my sound cancellation off now, so
oh, you do?
yeah. So hopefully, so you can probably hear my stomach growling because I ate too many choke cherries.
And again, what's a choke cherry?
A choke cherry is kind of like a black cherry, except it's very tiny and it grows in all of the northern and northeastern states.
Right.
And it has a real drying effect on your tongue, so it's almost like a really dry grape wine.
Okay, I'm putting that link that John sent me into the private chat. Although, oh gosh, I didn't realize it had all this crap in it.
Holy shit, fuck! What?
What?
Is it,
Why does it?
I don't know why it did that, but it's working.
Holy fuck! That's like 1, 2, 3, like 12 lines long.
It didn't look that way in the email itself.
When
so
I sent it to you, yeah, it was like real short.
Okay, you want me to roll it?
And this is like a 6 minute some.
It is.
yeah, 6 minutes.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Start at the beginning. 2:54 is where we want to stop. and say something, and then we'll play the rest of it.
Let me know. Let me know if the audio is working. And it's
I'm not hearing any. I'm not
Yeah.
hearing anything.
Yeah. Oh, I know why.
Me about
Yeah, go ahead.
loss, grief,
Right from
and their pain. And I find it, I'm a WASP, we're taught to sort of push all our emotions deep down inside and pretend everything's great. But it's nice to actually kind of relate to somebody on that and talk about something other than this mishigas.
Well, I think when you meet someone who's had a loss, you have two options. One is to say, I'm sorry for your loss, which is a perfectly lovely thing to do. But if you can share your experience, then they're not alone.
Well, it's always interesting to me how when I bring it up, is meeting somebody for the first time, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry to bring it up,"
Mhm.
and as if what they
As
don't
if you wanna
realize
forget the
is
person who
I'm
died.
thinking about it all
Constantly.
the time. I mean,
Exactly.
it is as you said,
Exactly.
it is, it's one of my arms. I mean, it is an extension of who I am.
Quite possibly for the rest of your life.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's been 31 years since my brother died, and
Yeah.
more since my dad. And there's not a day that goes by I don't think about
To
it.
the point sometimes where I go like, why is nobody asking me about this? Honest to God, like my brother's died 45 years ago, and sometimes I go like, how come nobody's asking me about Paul? But how would they know to
Right.
ask? They don't know I'm thinking about him.
Right. And they would be uncomfortable to ask. I actually, this is going to sound weird, but for a long time, and probably still to this day, wish that I had a scar. I wish I had like a scar.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, no, like Harry,
I
more
know what
like
you
a
mean.
Bond villain, like running down my eye, my face. That's unavoidable for people to see because it would just be a silent signal to everybody I meet that I'm not the person I was meant to be, or I'm not the person that I started out being.
But you're entirely the person you were meant to be.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe this is a warped version of.
So there's another timeline with a happier Anderson Cooper?
Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, there's not. It doesn't exist in an alternate universe. But yes, I guess.
I guess that's what I mean about like.
But that's your
my
fate.
my experience.
That is your
my
fate.
experience in the example of my mother,
Right.
and from what I read and experience of my particular faith, extremely imperfectly, admittedly, is that there isn't another timeline,
Mhm.
and this is it. And the bravest thing you can do is to accept with gratitude the world as it is, and then, as Gandalf says, so do all people who are in such times.
You told an interviewer that
Yeah,
you
stop it here.
love the.
Yeah. So, yeah, coming up is to me like the most important part of the interview, and this is what this idea was born out of for me, and you'll hear when he talks, like the biggest thing I take away from watching this is to have gratitude for your life. I mean, and of course, Theus would focus that gratitude on their God, but you can be in a state of gratitude without focusing it on a being or a particular thing. I mean, of course, I would say, shower your gratitude on those you love and those that are in your life, but you don't have to be focused on anybody or anything to have gratitude for the fact that you're alive on a particular day. But I want to let Mike or Scott say anything they'd like to, and then we'll watch the rest of this and pick it up afterwards. But
Yeah, and gratitude. I came upon this interesting thing. It occurred to me that before I was born, I was always going to be, and then of course I was born, and now before I die, I am. I get to live out of the astronomical impossible, probabilities of me existing rather than one of the other sperms making it, right? And then after I die, I will always have been for eternity. And when I thought about that, I got this feeling of gratitude. And like if you ask, well, who am I grateful to? Well, you don't have to be grateful to a who. You can just have a feeling of gratitude that is all encompassing, and that is the purest form of gratitude, I think. without being grateful to somebody or to something. You're just purely grateful. So anyway, that's all I have to say on that.
Scott, you have any comments?
Yeah, you made me, for some reason, something you said made me think of the James Taylor song, Shower the People, which basically goes, shower the people you love with love, shower them the way you feel.
Yeah.
In other words, it's not going to cost you anything. It's really not going to hurt. In fact, maybe you'll have one or two people in your life that are just very uncomfortable with expressions of love, but most people appreciate it and demonstrate it back in kind. They return that love. So
And
anyway.
not to taint Scott's beautiful thought there, but like I've been saying recently, since finding this video and having discussions with Mike, is that, shower the people you love, the people that are important to you in life, with gratitude and love, because once you die or they die, that's it. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, like people try and tell you, well, you'll be rejoined with them again in heaven, but we don't believe that. When you die and you're gone. So so shower the people, as Scott put it.
Yeah,
But,
interesting tie-in to Stephen Colbert, though, is James Taylor spent 2 weeks ago, the entire week,
yeah,
playing with the band there at the Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to mention about that. Like when my daughter was murdered, we were right in the middle of the pandemic, and we had not had dinner together. We just talked on the phone, and I had any inkling that I was going to lose her, and the same with her mom, and the same with my friend Mac, and the same with everybody that has ever died. I was like, what the fuck was I doing before they died? Because I would have talked to them and reached out to him a hell of a lot more if I'd known, right? And yet over and over again, people die, and I have that same feeling, right? It's just, I think, with the complexities of our life, I think we're always going to have that feeling about somebody, but goddamn, that's a bitch. When they're not there anymore, and I still call her phone number, and they say, oh, that number is disconnected. But it's like, and I call my friend Mac's phone number, and he died like 12 years ago, and I still call his number. I still have his number, and I call it. It's like I want him to answer. God damn it! But and
my mom's number is still in my contacts, and I've accidentally hit that a few times, and it, of course, it's disconnected at this point. But
and then I think like the people that are still alive, shit, I should call them.
Yeah,
I think that's a takeaway. But then
remember that scene? You remember that scene from, I don't know if you watched the show Breaking Bad, when Jesse's girlfriend had died from an overdose, and then he kept calling her phone number after that because he wanted to hear her voice, and then at one point he dialed the number and it was disconnected, and he was just so crestfallen.
Yep.
So, all right, let's watch the rest of this and pick it up afterwards. And just real quick before you start up again, I haven't done this yet. Let me go back here, and some of these people might not even be here yet or be here anymore. But Tobin Templeman is here, and he said he just shared this channel in a chat room he was in. I thank him for that. And then I don't know if what's this? You owe my mama gas, liberal. I don't know if they're still here, but I'm pretty sure that's Jill. The Holy Spackle showed up. I don't know if she's still here. What's up, Holy Spackle? Go check her channel out. She has some great streams. 420 Atheist. Definitely saw him. Doubting Thomas is here. Doubting Thomas got together with us yesterday and helped us check out the phone system here to see if it was going to work. And of course, we haven't had any, this one guy's here. How you doing? The phone number, if you want to call in, is in the video description. Our international headquarters of Counting the Days is in Story, Wyoming. So you'll be routed through there if you dial the number. And we'd love for a theist to call in and tell us why that picture on the thumbnail that looks like my mom is a message from God. I think I got everybody. If I missed anybody, my apologies, but I think I shouted out everybody. And then, so let's watch the rest of this, buddy.
Okay, we're rolling.
Thing that I most wish had not happened.
Real quick, stop it.
I remember.
You went on.
Just because we kind of were mid-sentence there. What Anderson had just quoted back to Steve, something Steve had said in another interview. I learned to love the thing I most hoped had not happened. And he's speaking of when his father and his brothers died in that plane crash.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
I rolled it back a little bit, so let's see.
Okay.
And, as Gandalf says, so do all people who are in such times.
You told an interviewer that you have learned to, in your words, love the thing that I most wish had not happened.
I remember.
You went on to say, what punishments of God are not gifts? Do you really believe that?
Yes. It's a gift to exist. It's a gift to exist. And with existence comes suffering. There's no escaping that. I guess I'm either a Catholic or a Buddhist when I say those things, because I've heard those from both traditions. But I didn't learn it that I was grateful for the thing I most wish hadn't happened, is that I realized it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, and it's an oddly guilty feeling.
It doesn't mean you are happy.
I don't want it to have happened. I want it to not have happened.
Right.
But if you are grateful for your life, which I think is a positive thing to do, not everybody is,
right.
And I'm not always, but it's the most positive thing to do, then you have to be grateful for all of it. You can't pick and choose what you're grateful for. And then, so what do you get from loss? You get awareness of other people's loss.
Well, that's true. Empathy.
Which allows you to connect with that other person,
right.
Which allows you to love more deeply and to understand what it's like to be a human being, if it's true that all humans suffer.
Right.
And so at a young age, I suffered something so that by the time I was in serious relationships in my life with friends or with my wife or with my children, is that I have some understanding that everybody is suffering. And however imperfectly, acknowledge their suffering and to connect with them and to love them in a deep way that not only accepts that all of us suffer, but also then makes you grateful for the fact that you have suffered, so that you can know that about other people. And that's what I mean. It's about the fullness of your humanity. What's the point of being here and being human if you can't be the most human you can be? I'm not saying best, because you can be a bad person and a most human. I want to be the most human I can be. And that involves acknowledging and ultimately being grateful for the things that I wish didn't happen, because they gave me a gift.
Well, one of the things my mom would often say is that she said, I never ask why me. Like, why did this happen to me? She would always say, why not me? Why would me be exempt from what has befallen everybody, countless others over the centuries? And I think that's another thing that has helped me think, yeah, of course, why not me? This is part of being alive. I mean, this is the suffering is the sadness, suffering. These are all, you can't have happiness without having loss and suffering.
All right. So let's go back here, and then we can see Mike again.
This is not quite a death comment or a comment about death, but I noticed Anderson Cooper did the what would be considered the most unprofessional thing back in the 1930s is that he got emotional.
Yeah, he got really emotional,
and that was like a no-no when it came to journalism.
That really added to that interview. The fact that he almost broke down there.
And
when he
that reminds me of 20th century attitudes, or just maybe the attitudes of any given time in human history, is that a American culture has been really fucked up in terms of dealing with meaningful realities in people's lives. And you can name all sorts of issues, but death is one of them. Death,
well, I mean, the
dealing with
changes
the
that we,
weight of humanity.
the changes we've seen in social mores in our lifetimes is just amazing. You know, like the difference you're talking about, like in the media. Yeah, that nobody would have done that back when I was a kid in the media. And now, as far as media goes, you would think something was wrong if the people that were giving you the news weren't showing emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of that reminds me of this this thing when and I apologize, Christians, but when somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, your daughter's in a better place," like, fuck you. No, that's not what happened. Okay. She died. Okay, there was a loss here. You're not going to gloss it over by telling me that, oh, she's up there somewhere spying on me right now. God, that's creepy. But yeah, that just offends me. It's like, and the longer you live, the more losses you have to deal with. So the price of living, you know, to a ripe old age. Like I had this this friend, a friend who passed away, Mac, my basically soulmate in my life. You know, from the time I was like 12 years old. His father was 90 something, or in his mid 90s, and he told his son, he says, everybody I know other than you kids is dead. Everyone has died, you know, and it's because he had lived for so long. And I thought about that, and it's like, God, that's the cost of living, of becoming really old. You're going to have more and more of these deaths accumulating. And for me, you know, I've had a lot of pets that I'm really, really attached to my pets. Like I have they're like my children, right? And I had this dog Midas, and I went through this thing where I had to put him down because his rear legs weren't working, and he was in pain, and I killed him. And then I started thinking, you accumulate these tragedies. Yeah, I put my own pets down. I didn't do this put them to sleep bullshit, right? You accumulate tragedies all of your life, and then when you die, you get to lay those down. It's your turn to lay down all that tragedy, right? But it occurred to me that by the time I'm an old man, I will have accumulated enough tragedies that I will welcome just unconsciousness and putting it down. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, I mean, and then one thing I want to touch base on is, you know, and again, I thank you for reminding me about this video the other day when I was, you know, bound with other things. And like when he says it's a gift just to exist, I mean, that's really hits home with me. And again, you don't have to be showering that gratitude on a particular being or anything. I mean, I know theists would shower that gratitude towards their God for existing, but that's just really big in my mind. It is a gift to exist. And like Mike had said, beginning of the show, you know, you exist because that one little sperm won the race. You know, it would have been somebody else if not for that. And you know, the thing is like, and when he talks about the loss, you know, what's the positive from experiencing a loss is that you get insight into your fellow human beings, you know, because everybody suffers loss. And because of the fact of what I said a little bit ago, the only meaning to be found in life resides in the minds of human beings. That's a good thing that you can understand your fellow human being because you've experienced loss like they have. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is that's where I want to find some common ground. And again, to the audience, the call-in number is in the description. We'd love to hear from a theist. If you're an atheist, call in, anybody, but back to you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, this idea of being grateful toward a being, right? One being, I think that's myopic, because when you feel this true gratitude, you feel it toward everything around and everyone around you, right? So I mean, I'm grateful to everybody. I'm grateful to the guy that didn't run the red light and hit me in the intersection yesterday, for Christ's sake. He's why I'm here. And, you know, this gratitude, it's myopic to pick a being to be grateful to. I prefer the all-encompassing gratitude to the entire existence, the cosmos or whatever. I think it's far greater to feel that way. I don't know. What would we call that? What would we name all-encompassing gratitude toward everything? I don't know.
Grateful to be alive.
We could call it gratitude.
I would call it counting the days.
Hey, tie in. That's good. That's good.
So okay, at 27,430, according to actuarial tables, I should die. So I've got about what? I'm 26, 160 today. So I don't got a long left, man.
Well, while we were talking and everything, I went ahead and discovered the average lifespan of a white male in America, or males in America.
Yeah, 75.1.
I got 76.7.
Oh, what the hell? They can't even get that right. So 75.1 is 27,430.
Yeah. So I've got, according to this, I've got 6,575 days left. See, the first time it was like if I lived to 100, which I doubt that will happen because of health issues and family history. But I mean, it could, and I guess I would be grateful for that. I don't know, when things get achy and all your friends and maybe relatives are gone.
Some of those games, so I think those junior varsity kids,
Shit.
The hell is that?
Oh, I happened to hit the mouse. So Scott, how many days? How many days do you have? Like 6,000? You said 6,000.
Yeah, the 76 or 77 days comes out to about 28,000 total days.
And I've only got about 1,000, so I think you can afford a few of those days coming over here and mowing my lawn.
Oh, okay. So you'll give me some of your days. Okay.
So, look, and it's a good time from what they're talking about to bring up the fact, we invite you to count the days along with us. And I'm working on the website right now. Sometime here in the very near future, you'll be able to go to our website and there'll be some kind of thing there to click on so you can figure out how many days you've been alive. And then, so right now, as it stands, as far as the people that are counting days, Mike is in the lead. Speed is at the top of the leaderboard.
I kicked your ass.
But we need people to beat him. And as a matter of fact, we would love to make somebody the official guest co-host. If you know anybody who's 100, we're going to call that the Big Kahuna. And of course, now you would be. Mike figured this out. It's not exactly 36,500 days because, of course, depending on when your 100 years falls, you will experience so many leap years. And Mike figured his out, and he figured out if he makes it to 100, he's going to be 36,526 days old.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we could do, and it would take some ingenuity. So if we have any really good engineering types out there, people who are really good with machines and working with their hands, we need to build a light speed spacecraft and send Speed into outer space with it. That will give us time to catch up, and when he comes back, we'll be older than him. So that's my strategy. Any volunteers? Anybody want to help me out with constructing that marvel of engineering?
Yeah.
I think given the space that Randolph built, he could probably build that. We'll get Randolph Richardson to build us at times.
See, Randolph doesn't know this yet, but see, what he's building is my refugee safe haven for when I flee the United States for Canada. I'll just stay in his studio, and when he's not using it, and then just kind of go outside and play basketball and shoot hoops while he is doing his podcasting stuff.
I saw the funniest damn news story, right? I don't know if it was I think it was national news. They were interviewing this woman who was turning 110 years old at this nursing home, and they had she had a party hat on, and they had like people all around her, with birthday cakes and all that stuff. And she was sitting there, and they kept, and they stuck the microphone in her face and said, tell us what it's like. And she said, I want to take a nap. That was all she said. I want to take a nap. It's like, leave this poor woman alone. 110. That was great. But yeah, that's basically probably.
Yeah, the big kahuna, Tobin. The big kahuna. We need someone who's 100. The big kahuna.
The big kahuna.
So,
lead. So fuck y'all.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier too, like everybody experiences death, everybody experiences loss. Every one of us is going to die, and where we diverge in our opinions is what happens to you after you die. Theists, of course, think that you go on in some other realm. Atheists, for the most part, not that we're have monolithic thinking, but believe that your life is over when you die. So, I mean, I don't want to speak for these other guys, but I believe they believe that too.
I would be very surprised if we extended consciously beyond our death, physical death. Hopefully pleasantly surprised, but we have people in our country very willing to tell us that we would have an unpleasant after death. So
yeah, if I die and wake up somewhere, like if I'm not like that old lady, my first words will probably be, I want to take a nap. But I mean, if I die and I wake up somewhere, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? Stop it. This is not what I signed up for.
Yeah. I think one of the most famous Twilight Zone episodes was that guy who kept going to sleep and waking up in some little town where, the pace of life is slower. It's like the 19th century on a frontier town, and they go out to the creek and they fish and everything. But don't you realize, or have you realized how after the first, 1,000 times, you'd probably be so sick of it.
Right.
Because just perpetually going on, like you were before, that leads to boredom.
Right. Yeah.
And then the pictures painted of the afterlife by some of the more fundamentalist people is just pathetic.
Yeah. So what do you think of this thing? Okay, there's this sort of attitude or this narrative that if the universe ends in heat death and the entire human race is gone, then what's the meaning of it all, man? Why don't I just die right now? I mean, like, if my life is going to end, what's the meaning of it if it's just going to end? It's like that whole narrative is involved with this idea that I have to have an infinite future in order for me to have a meaningful finite, right? A meaningful present. In order for my present to be meaningful, you have to guarantee me that I'm going to live forever. What the fuck is that? I mean, what is it? You understand that is the Christian narrative, that there is no meaning unless you go on forever, unless there's some.
Well, right. This is just to prove we're in the proving ground right now for the real life that comes later with God.
I think that's more of an evangelical narrative, because I've had Christians or at least older relatives, re-emphasize and re-emphasize before, you're not guaranteed another breath. They'll either do it in context of evangelism, but just in kind of from day-to-day living. My grandmother used to say this: you're not guaranteed another breath. You're not guaranteed the next breath. And so there is a strand of any spirituality, whether it be a Christian pursuit or Buddhist or some other, that, being aware and even embracing your limitations and the shortness of your life and your lack of control. They would put control, a theist would put control of your life into God's hands, which is to me a good analogy or a good parable. I don't know what the right word is of how how much lack of control we have over life when it's all said and done. But but,
Yeah,
but
well,
you know, they're aware. There are strands of practice and belief where people in Christianity are aware that we are dependent on only the moment, where we can only rely on this moment right here.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But
Because this whole thing about having to have an infinite future in order to have meaning today detracts from what life is, right? I mean, it says, oh, this life is just a bullshit testing ground, and then we're going to go on to the real gift later.
yeah.
You can miss your whole life thinking like that. And it's just like, no.
Yeah.
And of course, there
But
needs
that-
to be some rules around our attitude for suffering, like not accepting help for, and I'm thinking of Mother Teresa here, not accepting help or providing help for patients that are under your care because suffering is good for you. Is not the way to go. Just because suffering can be redemptive, or it can help you reframe your life and your situation, doesn't mean you should introduce suffering into anybody's lives. It's
that's a little controlling.
yeah.
Well, and then,
you're taking
and then
control
some,
where you don't have it. Yeah.
well, and some deists like what Scott's saying, like there's sects as an SECTS that where they actually like flagellate themselves and
Right.
they'll like whip themselves on the back because supposedly suffering is such a good thing,
It purges you of sin or whatever.
Yeah. Can I mention psychedelics for a moment?
Okay, Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
baby.
Yeah. There's a documentary called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. He wrote a book on psychedelics, and he went out and tried a bunch of psychedelics, but it's like a 3 or 4 part series on the different psychedelics. And they're really, our relationship to psychedelics in this country is finally changing, and we're starting to use them for PTSD, for addiction. But one of the really interesting uses is they give them to people that are going to die, to cancer patients. And all of these people, I don't know about all of them, but most of them have this completely transformative experience. And they find that they're able to live out their last days fully without fearing death at all. And they get this sort of totally different idea about their life and death. And that is really interesting. And there are other ways to do that other than psychedelics. But I don't know. It's really, really interesting how the documentary is really worth watching. It's really
How to Change Your Mind.
Yeah.
Hey, there's
John,
as a matter of fact, that's interesting.
Same.
Yeah, because that is the one state where they do have medical psychedelics.
Yeah.
I think Oregon's the only one so far.
Yep.
Yeah, better
James,
get there and get them before fascist.
I recommend the
takeover or
documentary on Netflix, James, if you haven't watched it. It's they have some PTSD people, and some of them, I think 2 doses, and one guy was saying he's totally cured, and he was at the point where he was going to suicide because he couldn't live his life, and he was in the war in Iraq, I think, and it completely changed his life in like 2 doses. The other reason to move to Oregon is they allow you to end your life, or is that Washington? There's one state where they allow you to end your life when you decide that you don't want to fucking rot from cancer. You don't want to choke out your last breath. And
just real quick, sorry to interrupt. For those of who are just arrived, the call-in number is in the video description. This is a call-in program. Please feel free to call in. We haven't had a caller yet. Somebody give us a call, and maybe we won't get anybody calling David in the future. What's the matter there, Mike?
Nobody's going to call today. We're young. We're very young.
We're very young.
We are very young.
We're in our infancy.
We are only 26,160 days old. So why don't I have a wrench, John, so I can promote my
I don't
channel?
think anybody has any wrenches yet, except for if they were here in the early days of my program. I will get on YouTube and hand out some wrenches.
Come to Answers in Atheism, where everyone has a wrench.
Yeah.
Even Angelo has one currently. Yeah.
We need to have a creators conference and just have an entire colloquium about wrench giving.
Wrench giving,
Yeah,
yeah.
use that as, have like 30-minute presentations by different creators about pro and con and things.
I'm just glad we live in different parts of the country because, if we all lived in the same area, they'd probably hunt me out and beat the hell out of me for the opening of the show here today. But we'll have to get all those bugs worked out too. And
now, John, you're using StreamYard. Can you
put this
put a
one,
banner?
guys, on it? This
Put a
one,
banner
guys.
with the
Yeah,
number?
you can put a banner up, John, with the number on it. But anyway, can you put this one, guys, comment out about?
I can put with a banner, but I haven't got the paid version yet. So
Oh, you can't do banners without a paid version?
I'm pretty sure you can.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Let me see. Well, first of all, I'm going to put this one. Let me focus, Grasshopper. Is
one.
this
Yeah, and
one-
if it covers up Speed's image, nobody will blame you.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
okay. So it's not a natural change in brain chemistry. It doesn't change your brain chemistry after the dosage is gone. But what it does is temporarily allows all of your paradigms and your sense of self and all the things that you took for granted to temporarily melt down. And at that time, if you have a really good guide or a psychotherapist with you, they can rewire a lot of things, and you'll suddenly realize that there's some wiring in your brain that was causing you grief, and you can actually change that wiring with psychedelics, and that's what they're finding. I mean, it's almost like I don't want to say laxative, but a powerful solvent for your belief system, so that you take it and all of a sudden you'll question every belief in your life. And I describe it as like, okay, if all your beliefs and your memories and your existence are a pile of snowflakes, like fluffy snow, psychedelics, put your hands underneath the pile and you throw it up in the air. And then as it comes down, you get a chance to put it back together again in a somewhat better order. And I came up with that paradigm back in the late 60s, early 70s, when I was doing a whole hell of a lot of psychedelics. And it was really powerful because I could make changes in my belief system, or, in the things that were causing me anxiety. I'd examine them and I'd say, well, that's bullshit. And then after the drug wore off, that wiring was still there. So it was pretty powerful. So anyway.
Well,
Nobody-
so yeah, I mean, do you think that the psychedelics stimulate? I can't think of the word right now because I'm not a science guy like you. What do they call it when you form new pathways in your brain? It's called angiogenesis or something like that, or
Neurogenesis.
angiogenesis has to do with the blood vessels. That's right.
Well, just changing the synaptic strength between the neurons. Neurogenesis is actually creating new neurons, but it doesn't do that. It just allows you to modify the strength of the connections between neurons, so that you can, for some reason, it allows you to rewire some really low-level basic things, like when you first start like a psychedelic trip. You start to see things from like as if you're outside of yourself looking down, and you can see, oh my God, I think this is true, and therefore I think that, and that's bullshit, and I'm going to tear that one down. So it's like it allows you access to some pathways that are so burnt in and ingrained that you don't even notice they're there.
Well, yeah, I think James he said neuroplasticity.
Yeah, neuroplasticity. That's a term. Yeah. I couldn't think of the term either. But anyway, it allows you to look at these really basic things that comprise who you are. And it's kind of amazing. And a spiritual experience, which we'll talk about at some point, is the same thing. It is a experience that can happen to you at a very low point in your life when you're so stressed out that your brain, it's actually a nervous breakdown is what it is. That is a spiritual experience. And my mom used to call them nervous breakdowns. And she was hospitalized several times for that. But anyway, everything melts down. And suddenly it's like I can see myself from outside myself. And I'm watching myself interact with my dad and all that stuff. And I can see the problem. It's like I can see the fucking problem now. And it's really an amazing thing.
I can see for miles and miles.
I can see for miles and miles.
You know, talking about a problem, I think that was my problem was, you know, before having all these new thoughts and you know, different ideas that came over the last few months is that I think, yeah, that was my problem is thinking, oh, wait a minute.
Phone call. What the hell? Oh, this could be Otantalo. We got some high-tech stuff going on here right now. It's spam. Your car warranty.
That's right.
It's not working, John. Nobody saying anything?
All right, this is okay. So can you go ahead, James, say something so we can see if they can hear you.
Oh, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Hello,
not too bad.
James.
Hi, James.
Hey, can you hear me, James? This is Scott.
Are you able to hear James?
So I can hear you. I had to turn the sound off for the video stream because I was hearing myself.
Oh, I forgot too. And Scott even said yesterday, he's like, have that loaded up in your mind and ready to say, turn YouTube off, turn YouTube off.
Yeah. Turn off your browser. Turn off your browser.
So I think I know. No, James, are you a theist or an atheist?
I am an anti-theist.
You're an anti-theist. Okay.
Yes,
so you're
yes.
not interested in finding any common ground, huh?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. When I listen to what Christians, for example, and other theists have to say, I do look for common ground, but I don't look for it in the supernatural. I look for it in the human experience.
Right.
About
Yeah.
the religious narratives, what they are in part conveying is what it means to them. They're talking about how they're contending with the common human struggle. And so I can appreciate those things that we have in common, those hopes, those fears, those pains, those needs, those wants, without having to say, okay, the supernatural has merit, because I know it does.
Well, right, and just to kind of springboard off what you're saying is, I think what you're trying to say is exclusive of their religious beliefs, there's insights into the human condition that you can get from theists, and they would say it's because of their religion. They would say it's because of their religion, but it's because of their humanity, basically. But go ahead, James.
Right. So yeah, exactly right. So they may not appreciate that it's because of their humanity. And part of that's because they're not really taking full credit for their own thoughts and feelings and experiences. They're supposing that a lot of this is sort of getting beamed into their head by an external source. And so they're sort of detached from their own inner workings. So, but at the same time, because I recognize that, I still can see all kinds of common ground there, because that artificial narrative just isn't there for me. I can see the whole entire thing. They're talking about, you know, their own thoughts and their own feelings, their own hopes and fears, and the way that they cope with different ideas. And, you know, there's a lot of interesting things that I've been able to learn from observing their narrative and how it affects them.
You know, and I think real quick, theists, they sell themselves short when they give credit to God for things that they have done themselves in their life, you know, like changes they've made or, but at any rate, guys, what do you have to say to what James is saying?
Well, what amazes me is that when I hear a person talk about a born-again experience in Christianity, like if they've had a real powerful born-again experience, like Nephilim Free had one, and he was talking about it, and I could relate to everything that he was feeling, because I had that same born again experience, but I was an atheist before, during, and after. Okay. So I had the same experience, but I didn't have the religious narrative to go with it. I just had the raw experience. But when I hear them talk about it, it's like, yeah, I know exactly what you're feeling, what you're talking about. And then they'll say, oh, but you didn't have the one true experience because you didn't believe in God. And like Nephilim just blew me off. And I'm like, well, fuck you. You know, I had an experience. You had an experience. You know, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really off-putting when a Christian demeans the experience that I had because I'm not a believer. You know, it's like it wasn't a real experience. Fuck it. Yeah, it was a real experience. It blew my head up, right? It was very real. It's
Yeah,
like,
you just recontextualize it. You know, when you become an atheist, or maybe even if you go from Christianity to Buddhism or Hinduism or whatever.
yeah.
So, hey, can I ask kind of a poll question? POLL poll question, real quick. Everybody, if you're able to get to the side chat, if you're listening, you do side chat, and then of course I'd like to hear James's opinion. Death. That's the question. Death. Friend, foe, or frenemy? Death. Friend, foe, or frenemy. Now, I define frenemy as somebody that you normally would not like. Normally, you might even be antagonistic towards. But since you have a common goal, you work together. So friend, foe, or frenemy. James, how do you think about death in those terms? Or do you have a different term other than the three that I've chosen?
So the friend, foe, or frenemy, who are we asking about? Who?
Death.
Yeah, death.
Is
The-
death
the-
a friend?
Death itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is death an enemy?
that's the stuff.
Or is it a frenemy?
I was frenemy. That's what I'd vote for.
Okay. I think that's the idea behind that Dia de los Muertos that that I sort of mentioned earlier. So I'm going to start exploring death in that sense and see how much framework I can put around in that.
Well, and I would say, to answer this question myself, up for my entire life up until a few months ago, I would have said foe. You know, I was in that mindset of that Mike was talking about, how I expect to live forever. You know, I mean, I'm a living thing. Life should go on. But now I would say death is a frenemy. It's something that, like Scott's saying, I need to, I've come to accept it more. It's an inevitability. It was always an inevitability. I just didn't accept it. And it's just frenemy.
I think I'm going to abstain. I think I'm going to abstain from voting. I like intellectually, yeah, frenemy, but
it's
but I
still
don't
hard
know.
though.
Well, when I'm composting my vegetables and stuff, it's my friend, I guess. So
Right.
probably frenemy, right? Because those things have to die and break down and turn into dirt. Otherwise, I can't grow new things, right? So yeah, from that aspect, I don't know. Hard to say. It's a constant companion for me. And my goal is to laugh my ass off as I'm dying. That's what I want to do. I want to see the humor in this shit, right? Especially if I take a fall in the shower, right, and I'm heading for the faucet. It's like, oh, this is the funniest fucking thing. This is just hilarious. There are hilarious ways to die. I don't
Well,
know.
you remember George Carlin's bit about dying? 2-minute warning.
Oh yeah, the 2-minute warning. That
Yeah.
would be.
And not many people know that there's in your head there's a 2-minute warning before you die, and the reason
what I
people
would do
don't know
is-
about it is because everybody that gets it dies.
Okay, what I would do is check my text messages right away. It's like, oh, I got to see if somebody texted me. I had my 2 minute with it. That's how I'd spend my
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Well,
checking
so
my-
he said that just time it right. Like if you're a world leader or something, go to the podium and give some crazy speech, and just right before the 2 minutes is up, saying, "If this isn't the truth, may God strike me dead right now." And then
Yeah, that's perfect. I actually went out in a lightning storm.
about-
and
what's that,
said-
James?
Go ahead, James.
I was going to say, I love how Carlin said at the end of his God skit, he's like, if I am wrong, may God strike the audience dead right now.
That was good.
Classic. I love that that special they did, or that documentary they did about Carlin. I think it was on HBO, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that was a great documentary because he went through so many changes throughout his life. It was I didn't know.
Well, right, and if you remember when George Carlin first hit the scene as a comedian, he was a buttoned up suit wearing, that kind of person.
I think all that time he was aware that wasn't him,
Yeah.
but he was doing it to be accepted by the industry, and I don't know if that was a good choice on his part. I mean, it worked out obviously for him, but it kind of raises the question for me: how much of yourself are you willing to put on snooze to please this world system that we have? And I know I sound like an evangelical when I say that, but to please the repressive things that.
Well, I mean, when you talk about entertainment and all that, that's very much how it's been during our lifetime. Is like, you had to, if you wanted to be on TV or you wanted to be famous, you had to conform to a certain set of, a certain way of conducting yourself, and that's why George Carlin, when he first came out, wore the suit and tie and all that stuff. But, hey, James, now, and something I want to tell the audience, of course, since we do not have the high-tech system set up, this phone here is just one line. So it's not like if anybody else tried to call in, like I have a board here with a bunch of people on hold. So we're going to say goodbye to
I can get off
James.
here, but
What's that?
Yeah. I said, yes, I'll get off here, but I'll still be in the show. So
Yeah. And then we want to
Thanks for
thank
having me.
James. James was he broke the cherry on our call. And
He's our first. He's our first. He will be precious to us
Right.
for the rest of our
Yeah,
lives.
and James, we played Jay Bundy's little thing about Rebecca yesterday or last night, and it was hilarious about the fear of Rebecca. That was awesome. That was the most awesome little skit.
He's fun.
All
Yeah,
right, James, thank you so much for calling in. And let's see if we have any other bites.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Have a good day.
Are you going to limit this to like 2 hours, or are we going for like 12 hours? Or
Well, why? What time is it?
yeah,
We should limit it. Yeah, we don't want to make this like a long thing. Yeah, an hour and 35 minutes we've been going. Well, an hour and a half. I was late. That's right. So we had our first caller. The line is now open. If anybody else wants to call in, let me just make sure. Yep, I still got that app open. And again, we've been talking about death today. The one for sure commonality that all humans share, all living things share.
Yeah, it's that thing that Colbert said about gratitude, or about being grateful for the things that you would rather didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
That was a real powerful line. And I'm there with a lot of the loss in my life. There are some losses that I'm not there. I'm not there yet. I'm working on it.
All right.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there.
Yeah, I mean, having the gratitude for the loss itself, that's kind of a tough ask. I mean, but he, illuminated the idea that, well, the one positive thing you can say you get out of that is now you have insight into your fellow human beings, because all humans suffer loss. That, I mean, is the one positive you can take out of it. But then to translate that into being happy for your loss, I'm not quite there yet on any of it.
Yeah, the other thing, like I got this idea, I think about 20 years ago, but when somebody dies, the only way that I could make any sense out of it, it was like, okay, they were writing the book of their life. And at their funeral, when they died, we put the back cover on that book and we published it, whole. That was their whole life, right? And for my daughter, that is the only way I have been able to come to terms with any of it, is that I saw her life. I remember her in the incubator when she was, like a half an hour old, and I remember, the day that, I found out she died. And so I have her whole life in front of me. And it's like, in some respects, that makes it famous, that it's complete, that complete life. I can see her from one end to the other, right? And I don't know how to, I'm not sure exactly how to explain the feeling, but there is something kind of positive in there. But she is the one goddamn death that I am having trouble getting my mind around, right, and being able to accept. But that makes some sense. Just putting the back cover on a person, and that is something that it's going to be cool when that happens to me. Now we have the whole book. We know the whole extent of my life.
I mean, the only comment I want to make on that, and I can't feel what you feel because I have not procreated in my life, but the idea that that you saw the full story and the ending of the story, yeah, as far as what I've been told by other people, parents are never supposed to experience that from their kids.
I know.
That's the horrible thing about that for you.
One movie where we're not supposed to see the credits, Yeah.
It's
ain't supposed to happen. And it's I don't know, it's probably the deepest loss I've ever had in my life. And the only people that I was able to communicate with for a long time were other people who had lost their children, because they spoke a language. It was almost like for the first 3-4 months, I felt like I was a fucking alien and nobody was speaking my language. When somebody would come up and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and all that stuff, it was just like, no, just go away. But at the same time, like Anderson Cooper mentioned the scar on your face.
right.
When people don't ask, you're like, why the fuck aren't you asking about this?
Yeah.
This is like people blew it off, and particularly people.
So you
blew
can
it
relate.
off.
You can relate to what he was saying then very
Oh, fuck yeah.
closely.
Fuck
Yeah.
It's like, why the hell aren't you noticing, this scar? It's just like, I don't know. And then you go into a grief group, and I joined this grief group for a long time. And they were just, I mean, we could talk about it,
I remember when, like, after my mom had passed, it was, I mean, I really didn't have a moment, like where I broke down or anything like that. I mean, I was sad, right from the minute, but it was like one of those things that, she had been going downhill for so long. It was like, people say it was actually kind of a blessing, that she wasn't going to suffer anymore and all that. And it wasn't until weeks later, after she had passed, I had, just got done doing the yard, mowing and trimming and all that stuff. And I was sitting in this little like gazebo thing I have set up back by my garden. And then all of a sudden I started thinking of my mom, because like normally when I was living there and I would do the yard work or something, after I would do the yard work, at some point, here'd come my mom out of the house to walk the dog or to just come out and say hello to me. And then she would comment on, "Oh, everything looks so nice, and everything." And I thought of that in one of those moments, when she did that, and I just lost it. I just cried my guts out for like 20 minutes. And, that like your body's shaking, kind of like, you totally lose it, kind of crying. And then when I found that image of my mother in that stump, I kind of had a little mini version of that again, thinking about her and breaking down and everything. And it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that image in the stump, that synchronicity, basically.
Yeah.
How the hell did I read it? There's an intersection of the complex of the universe, basically, with you as a being. And I always say that synchronicity, those moments when you find these coincidences, is the low-hanging fruit in the universe. And when you open your eyes to it and you start to look around, you will see it everywhere. I mean, it's just like you can see all of these, patterns and synchronous events. And that's something that Buddhism gets into a little bit. And I've had people argue that there is no synchronicity. There fucking has to be. There are always going to be coincidences and patterns and matches. I mean, it's just that you just have to open yourself up and look for them, and they're everywhere.
Now I am humming a song, that Police song from '83.
Which one?
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, if you don't think there's synchronicity in life, go Google search the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah.
And then get back to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really like there was this, I guess he was a fraud, but Carlos Castaneda wrote these books about Don Juan, the mystical, peyote eating Mexican. And he was talking about synchronicity, and he talked about how you go, and you can do this. Anybody can do this. You go into the woods, and what you do is you just open yourself up and you look for the path, and you start following the path. And what you're mostly following is animal paths that are real paths, but you end up going on this journey, and you will discover something about yourself. And that happens all the time when you practice that, looking for the path sort of thing. And so I decided that, well, the reason is because no matter which path I took, there's going to be synchronicity because it's a low-hanging fruit in the universe. I just have to go pick it.
Hey, real quick, I need to address it. Midnight. There is no link. This is our new show, Counting the Days. It's a call-in program, and there's a phone number in the video description if you want to call in.
Yeah, but he wants to lurk and then disappear.
Yeah, we're not. This isn't like a live stream show. Somewhere down the line, maybe we'll have a guest or something with us. But yeah, if you want to call in, feel free. Midnight. But we'd really like to hear from Matthias. Go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
I was just wondering, who is the death expert these days? I mean, we had Kubler-Ross way back.
Dr. Kevorkian?
Okay, well.
I don't know.
Is he even alive anymore?
I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? That's an interesting question. Is he alive anymore?
He probably killed himself. I don't know. Kevorkian. We could look him
Here,
up.
this is for you, Mike.
What's that? I saw a great insight in synchronicity at World Science Festival. They set up a line of pendulums and metronomes, etc., and they started them all operating out of sync. Yeah, and they start to fall back into
They
sync.
sync up, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way complexity works,
David is in the side chat. Lori Hayes.
The intersection of the complex of the cosmos, basically with us. We are complex organisms. Our brains are these complex pattern remembering machines, right? Like the thing about your life and your brain is you have all of your history going back to to when you were a zygote imprinted in your brain. So you are accumulating history of patterns, right? And then you walk around and you see a new one and you lock into it. And that's what we do. That's how we get to the bathroom, right? We lock into a pattern that has that's in our brain and in the universe, and we find our way around that way. That's how you navigate.
It's called induction.
It's interesting when you think about, and then I went through this thing. There's something called object-oriented philosophy, and I got into it about 5-6 years ago, and I went up north to my home, and the idea was that every object that you see is not just the what it is right now, right? But it is its entire history. And I found this old brewery in the town where I grew up, and I didn't even know it was there. It was like from 1930s, and it was this beautiful building that I had walked by drunk about 100 times on my way to from the bar to the car, and never seen it. And I started looking at it, and then I started questioning all the people that walked through it, and all of the people that built it and worked there, and just all of the interconnection of this building to the world, to the universe, right, to all of us. And then at that moment, I was participating in the entire history of that object. And I think they call it, I can't remember, object depth, or the depth of the object, or something like that. And it was absolutely an incredible experience to start looking at myself and everything around me as an accumulation of its entire history, all the way
KCA
back.
Randy in the house. What's up, Randy?
Oh, we got
Woolly Ignorant.
Somebody else just popped in that David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lori Hayes.
Yeah, it's amazing that people get up this goddamn early. If I'd known this, I would do more streams early, because my brain actually works at this time of the morning.
It's really not early in the
4:28, yeah.
Eastern Standard Time neck of the woods.
Yeah, 428 is. So I am 21,420 days old today. So I've been 420ing all day.
Yeah, it's a 420 kind of day. Well, I think I'm going to premiere this later in the day, John. What do you think of that?
Well, yeah. That's something we forgot to mention. Yeah, he's gonna. If anybody who wants to see this and it's not up the same time we are, it'll be replayed on Speed's channel after the fact at sometime when he decides. Yeah, sometime later in the day.
And if I had a wrench, I could actually put a link to that channel, but I don't, so I can't. So there's that.
Yeah, and then so I will, once we get done here, and the reason I haven't gone and done that yet is the device that I would go on YouTube and hand out wrenches right now is the device I'm using for possible call-ins. And I see that Midnight, I don't think, actually wanted to talk to us because notice he's not calling in. So
he wanted to lurk and drop.
Right. And I'm surprised. So, and I would almost bet the farm that was Jill earlier, that one name. And I noticed he didn't stick around calling.
Oh, the buy gas for my mama?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, buy gas for my mama.
Buy gas for my mama.
Liberal.
I don't think Midnight actually leaves the stream. I think he just fades out so that you can't really see him. I don't know. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it.
It's better to fade away than it is to rust.
Oh, what the hell? Who did that song?
That's Neil Young. Yeah. Well, and speaking of songs, the official song of this program is "I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive" by Hank Williams, Sr.
And he didn't.
So. Yeah. Because no matter how you struggle and strive, you're never going to get out of this world alive. Yeah, it so sucks because yesterday Scott was saying, like, he rattled off all these wonderful fucking songs about death that because of, copyright issues, of course, we couldn't play them today. It sucks. But I can put their titles in the description.
Don't forget The Last Kiss. The 50s song that I tried to play ineffectively. Okay, you want to wrap, John?
Well, yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up. Midnight pulled the pump fake on us.
Yep.
And decided not to call in. And yeah, I guess this was a good start, despite my technical shortcomings.
Yeah,
there's Snack. Hello, Snack.
Hey, Snack. Hey, say hi.
How many days old is Snack?
Oh, I got to calculate that. Not many. About 60. Something. Let's see. 60, 70, 80 maybe.
Right.
He just
So
discovered
anyway, our plan is to do this every Sunday, 7 a.m. Central Time, and we have to give all times in Central Time per Speed's contract. He doesn't recognize any other time zones, so even Doubting Thomas, who called in yesterday to help us test things out, Mike was telling him, 7 Central, and leaving it up to him to figure out, where the hell he's at in Newfoundland, what time that was.
the one true zone.
Yeah. So anyway, counting the days, and by the time we air again next week, I'll have a website to share with you. There's some links in the description right now you can look at. I will link the video we watched today there in the description as well. And that's the number that's in the description is our number. If you call it, there is a greeting, but there's no point in leaving any messages. I mean, if you absolutely, have something to get off your chest to myself or to Scott or to Speed, then please feel free to go over there and leave a message, but no one will ever hear it. It's like, cause I don't even know if I have that turned on. I mean, but I have like a greeting there, and the guy that runs the office there in Story, Wyoming, he just like erases all the messages like every couple of days. But
This little sucker just discovered my microscope tray, which is filled with
yeah,
bugs.
and we just discovered his asshole.
Yeah, he was scratching in it. Oh yeah,
every
cat
predator
assholes
should have a
are-
good proctology exam.
yeah. Well, cat assholes are basically they come with the business, the YouTube business. Yeah, the cat's always swinging his butt around,
So
Yeah,
hello,
but
Maynard Save. Maynard Save showed up. Awesome.
Yep.
So at any rate, we'll try this again next week. Maybe we'll get a theist to call in, and we'll figure out what the topic will be for next week. But I thought it was interesting today, and I'll throw it over. Any final words there, Scott?
Well, I am happy for all the people that came into our side chat and made comments and gave us greetings. Keep joining us. I know early is sometimes tough to manage, but hopefully we'll be like a good start to your morning and a good adjustment for your attitude to help look at things in a healthier way.
Yeah. Spirituality and atheism. That's my final comment.
Well, and it's so funny. It get to the end of the show before we even mention that, and just so everybody knows, like, we're looking at the spiritual side of atheism, but our definition of spirituality has nothing to do with any gods or we're talking about like sharing common experiences with your fellow human beings and living your best life. And
Yeah, and I should probably put it out there that I'm probably the hardest atheist you will ever encounter and a strict naturalist. So when I talk about spiritual experiences and spirituality, I don't mean that shit.
yeah.
No.
So anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We will see you next Sunday. Please, I don't think is it today. Is Randall show?
Normally they would,
Right.
but they decided to take this week off because of schedules and things.
Yeah, because Randall Rouser, they do a show every other
You mean Randall Richardson?
Sunday.
Randall Richardson?
What did I say?
Randall
James
Rouser, who is a
Epperson.
Christian.
What did I? Oh, Randall Rouser. Yeah, he's a Christian. I know. Yeah, Randolph Richardson. Sorry about that, Randolph. You're not Randall Rouser. But they do a show every other Sunday where they invite theists to call in and try their best to convince them of the existence of God. Very interesting. And of course, there's other shows that are on every Sunday, and we're just hoping we'll be, the first one, So call us if you get a chance, theists. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. And please count the days with us. Make every day count.